This is a good place to start. These are good general reminders about significance and where it's found. But when you're stuck, there are some specific hurdles that you face. And one of the main ones is looking over the fence at where you thought you should be and would be and where others are at. And it's very difficult, but try not to look over the fence and think, if only this would have happened differently, if I would have made this one wrong turn, or why are they there with that when they fill in the blank. That kind of thinking where you compare yourself and you're always looking over the fence at what should have been and what they have, that just tends to dig you deeper and deeper in the hole. Two important parts of finding significance under your feet rather than over the fence are gratitude and generosity. Gratitude is extremely difficult, but what it does is it changes your perspective on the circumstances you're facing. It helps you not be jaded about being stuck. It's actually a pretty nice day out here. I could be stranded on a block of ice in Siberia at negative 40 degree temperatures transporting canned ham. I did have a phone to call someone to help. And the more you think about it, the more you realize, well, maybe your name isn't Ichabod, which means the glory has departed. And you've got these four basic general truths to root your life in, to find your significance in. Expressing gratitude when you're terribly stuck is difficult. But the other thing we've got to do if we're going to find significance under our feet is be generous, when that's really the last thing you want to do. What you want to do is clutch what you've got and hide away. Jesus tells the story about these two people who were bringing gifts to the church. And one of them is an old, frail woman who has what's the equivalent of less than a penny, and then a man who's got a great sum of money. But according to Jesus, her gift was weighed as more significant because they gave from different hearts. When you're in places where you feel stuck and you feel like you've got nothing to give and nothing in you wants to give, give. Because what you'll find is that opens up your heart. You will find that it changes your perspective, changes your sense of self-worth even. It may sound simple, but giving takes your eyes off your own problems. And so when it comes to resiliency, these two things so far, confront the facts with brutal honesty and find significance under your feet rather than over the fence. And the third thing is adapt. Find a way for your stuckness to make you stronger. Learn from it. You can even find ways to detach yourself a bit and ask, what can I learn from this? Maybe put yourself in the perspective of the person you most admire and ask, what would they learn from this situation? How would they get out? Suffering can excavate your soul. And what I mean by that is when you lose something or you find yourself in a place where you feel stuck and you feel like you've come to an end of the road, it's like it creates this hole within you. And maybe it was a person, a relationship that filled that hole, or money, or experiences. You had these things that filled your life. And then when you're at a place of loss, where suddenly they're gone and you're stuck, you've got this gaping hole in your life that you've got to fill somehow. And this is really where resilience comes in, because you're forced to make a choice when it comes to being stuck. You can either think, yeah, I've come to the end of the road. Or you can think, no, the road is just around the corner. And this is where the concept of redemption really comes into play. And there's so many scriptures that talk about the fact that the work that God starts in us, He will see through to completion. That all things can somehow work for the good for those who love the Lord.
Every day is a winding road. I get a little bit closer. Every day is a faded sign. I get a little bit closer to feeling fine.
God's mercies are new every morning. And if you ever find yourself stuck in a hole, remember that God has many names. Jehovah Jireh, God provides. El Roe, God sees me. Jehovah Rophe, God heals. And Emmanuel, that God is with us. Take a few moments and reflect on these scriptures and maybe pray for a good friend.